Right. My screen sharing is paused. I'm not sure why. Sorry about that. Shared the wrong screen. Okay, it's loading. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so firstly, I think it would be remiss of me to just take this opportunity to just tell you a little bit of SA Child. I see most of the people that are listening to the webinar today are not members. And so let me first introduce myself. I am Roshaan. I serve on the exec of SA Child. And so we are an organization that sees ourselves as having two distinct archetypes. So first you can see there, we are the caregivers who embody traits of compassion, support, and a nurturing spirit, all of which aligns with our mission of improving the lives of individuals with childhood onset disabilities as well as their families. And we like to think of ourselves as the driving force behind positive change in the community. And then we see ourselves as the sage, which represents our wisdom, knowledge, and expertise, which are evident in the commitment to evidence-based practices, research, and interdisciplinary collaboration. We see ourselves as the educators, innovators, and the trusted source of information in our respective fields. And so our motto is empowering connections, saving lives. Whoops. So I think we all agree, and that's why we're all here, that communication is the key to all personal and career success. So it is vital for all our aspects in our lives, and especially relationships, which make the work and our personal lives easier. And this is why we, as health professionals, advocates, families of people with disabilities, we want to assist those without a voice or who are struggling to use the voice that they have. And which brings us then to today's topic. Just before we start, this is my contact details. I'm responsible to arrange the webinar schedules. So if you have a lead for an interesting topic or something you would like us to raise, then please contact us, well, contact me and we will see what we can arrange. Or if you don't have time to write down all the details now, you can also contact us through the SA Child website. I will stop sharing now so that we can hand over. Talia Rodrigues is from Edit Micro. Sorry, let me just find her information.
I'm here.
Ah, cool. Thank you. Do you want to, sorry, let me get out of here quickly. Yeah. Sorry, I did have an intro for you. I just can't find it now.
No, that's fine. I can introduce myself.
Thank you.
If you like. Okay, what can everyone see on their screen just so that I know? Roshaan, what can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see the edit micro.
We can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so and you can all hear me properly as well, so that's good. My name is Talia. I am the educational consultant and trainer here at Edit Microsystems. So I just want to say thank you for allowing us to present and show. I just want to get this out of the way because all I see is my face. There we go. So yeah, like I said, thank you for allowing us to be on this, so we can show what technology we do have available for the individuals to cater for their specific needs. So I do only have 10 minutes or so, and I know Roshaan, I don't know if she mentioned that as we go along, if you do have any questions, please write them down, and I believe that at the end of the session, you can ask all your questions, and I will be happy to answer them. Okay, so just a little bit about Edit Microsystems. Edit Microsystems has been around for 33 years now. We are a company that specializes in providing technology solutions and educational tools just to basically help those individuals out there, give them the educational tools to help them improve in their learning, their teaching, skills development when it comes to working in the workplace. We are based in South Africa, and we provide our services through the whole of the Southern Africa. So we do have offices based in Cape Town. So those that are in Cape Town, we are based in Tableview. If you ever want to come visit us, we are always have an open door and love to have visitors. Johannesburg as well, we've got our experience center there. So they also just love to have people come over and walk around and see what we have available. And then we also have offices in Durban as well as in Limpopo. So we at Edit Microsystems, we focus on integrating innovative technologies into classrooms, into educational institutions to enhance the educational experience for both the learners as well as the teachers, the educators. This is our team. So our fun and innovative team at Edit Microsystems. We've got speech therapists available. So if you call in and you have a query to do with speech or anything speech related, we do have speech therapists. We have occupational therapists, and then we also have teachers. So myself, I'm the foundation phase teacher. We have an intermediate phase teacher as well as a senior high school teacher. So we're all there to support our clients and their needs. Okay. This in front of you now is our two main catalogs. So we have our main blue catalog, and we also have our RT275, which I'm going to explain in a bit. You can go onto our website, www.editmicro.co.za, and you can download it from our website. On the left, the big blue catalog on the left includes all our assistive technology devices, all educational tools, as well as specialized devices that are designed to support learning and accessibility needs. So that's the catalog on the left, which is the big blue one. And then on the right, we have the RT275 tender catalog, which is, I'm sure all of you are aware of the tender, is part of the government initiative, which is basically managed through a transversal contract to supply assistive technologies and therapy devices. So basically this RT275 catalog includes a broad range of products categorized to support those individuals with disabilities and also to assist educators as well as therapists and also in hospitals, the healthcare professionals. Okay, just a little question that I like to ponder on is, what is assistive technology? So we all know that assistive technology, or most of us do know, refers to the tools and the devices or the systems that help individuals with disabilities to perform specific tasks, and also to improve their quality of life, and also just to increase that sense of independence. So you can see in this picture that's on my slideshow, if you really zoom in, these technologies are designed to address physical, sensory, cognitive, communication challenges. And also just enabling those users, to be able to fully partake in daily activities, to be able to go to school every day and be educated, to work in the workplace and carry on with an employment to earn money. Okay. And then the next slide, just see, just basically who we provide our technology to, or who we provide our devices to. So those individuals with visual impairments, we have devices which I'll obviously show you in a bit now, we have available for learners, for individuals with visual impairment, hearing impairment, physical impairment, speech and language impairment, and neurological impairment, which I'm going to go through more detail in a bit. Okay, just more product overview and what we have available. And now I can go into more detail covering all these subheadings over here. Let me just close this here. So we have innovative ICT. we have accessibility and motor impairments devices and mounting available for those, communication and AAC, blind and low vision, as well as for those individuals with hearing impairments. Okay, so when we talk about innovative ICT, which ICT, for those that don't know what it stands for, it's information and communication technology. So this is just in front of you a few pictures that I've pulled out of our website, just to show you what each stands for, or if I talk about projectors and screens or keyboards and mice, it all falls under innovative ICT. So innovative ICT refers to the creative use and the development of digital tools, technologies, systems to solve problems. You can see there devices to enhance efficiency. We also have different video and online conference solutions that will help to improve communication. And even now, more and more AI is being used, more in the healthcare, agriculture, and education to personalize solutions. So that's what we have under that sector available is the innovative ICT. Like I mentioned earlier on, we also have devices that support individuals with hearing impairments. So just so we do know, we do not sell hearing aids, but we do have assistive listening devices that are available, which enhances specific sounds in noisy environments. So for example, like the FM systems and the loop systems. We also have a device called the SpeakC, which is a speech-to-text technology, basically meaning that they can be in a meeting, and even though they can't hear what is happening, they can then, what the presenter is speaking is then being written onto the device in text, and they can then partake in meetings as normal. So it converts the spoken words into written text in real time, basically. We have alerting devices. You can see that telephone over there, or the alerting system on the top. It's warning the individual that there is smoke or that there's fire. So it's just devices with either visuals or tactile signals to notify them either, if the doorbell's ringing or maybe the alarm's going off, or like I said, there's a smoke detector, then it will alert them with either a vibration or visual, having a light blinking. Okay, then we have accessibility and motor impairments. So accessibility technology for motor impairments, which encompasses the tools and devices that are designed to help individuals with mobility challenges to perform daily tasks. Maybe they're struggling to access information, just being able to participate in activities independently. So these technologies that you see in front of you will help to address physical limitations to improve the quality of the life by enabling greater autonomy. So for example, you'll see in the corner there, it says mounting and positioning. We don't sell wheelchairs, but we do supply different mounting and positioning solutions for wheelchairs, as well as even hospital beds. So we do try and accommodate the individual as best as we can when it comes to allowing them the opportunity to make use of their device in the most comfortable solution for them. Then we've also got adaptive input devices like the alternative keyboards. We've got eye tracking systems and switch interfaces. So the adaptive keyboards are ergonomically designed for easier use. So it's designed for those with whose eyesight is maybe not quite what it used to be, or for any who might have a slight visual impairment. So with its large, you can see on that keyboard on the top left, with the large black print on with the bright yellow keys, you can type out anything. Will enable the individual to type out a simple email, to maybe even finishing your next novel with greater ease, and it won't have any strain on their eyes. Then the eye gaze technology enables the individuals to control their computers or even devices by using their eye movement. Okay. Switch access technology at the bottom over there are the buttons or the sensors that you use that you can press, touch, or activate with minimal effort. And then we also have which is not actually displayed on this slide, but we do have voice recognition software such as Dragon, which converts spoken commands into text or actions on a device. Blind and low vision. So we also have technology for the blind and low vision individuals, which I said before, it provides that innovative tools and systems to help those with those visual impairments to navigate the world, to access the web, access information, to basically participate fully in their daily lives. And these technologies that are displayed on the slide enhance independence. It allows them to communicate and just, the quality of life by addressing unique challenges that are related to sight. So you can see we have some screen readers, which is at the bottom over here where it says screen reading and magnification software. So those screen readers, which is a software that converts the text on a screen into speech or braille. Okay, we've also got magnification tools. So there's one little magnifier that I have over there, but that is a desk magnifier. We also have handheld magnification tools. So this one over here that's displayed on this slide is like a screen magnifier. We're basically, yeah, there we go. Let's talk about them. So it basically enlarges the text and images on the screen. We've also got the OCR, optical character recognition, printed text into digital text that can be read aloud or displayed in Braille as well, which is on that magnifier. We've got Braille technology like the refreshable Braille displays, which converts the digital text into Braille characters like real time, as well as Braille printers. You can see the Braille embossers, which produces tactile Braille documents from digital text. And we also have left anything else on this slide? Our assistive mobility there on the top, the cane. We've actually got smart canes that have just come out, which are actually equipped with GPSs, and also obstacle detection. So it tells you, you put in the location, and then the cane communicates back to the individual, telling them where to go and how to get to this certain location. Okay. Communication and AAC, okay, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So this technology encompasses tools and systems that assist individuals with speech and communication difficulties. So these technologies will help express themselves, will help individuals express themselves, helps them connect with others, and just basically participate fully in social and educational and even professional settings. So we have our speech generating devices at the bottom over there, which basically produces spoken words or phrases based on the user's input. So you also get your low tech mid, which over there at the bottom right, your go talks, which I'm sure you're all quite familiar with, and quick talkers, which I actually don't have a picture on here, but also you get your quick talkers. And then you get your high tech, like your TD Snap and Core software on the top left there, and this is the software that is installed on tablets, installed on smartphones or even computers to facilitate communication. So okay, on the previous slide where the piece, you can use eye tracking like the PCI 5 and Glasshouse, which also allows the users with limited mobility to control communication devices through their eyes and small head movements. And then last, we've got our early childhood development technology. This technology basically encompasses digital tools, apps, devices that are designed to support and enhance physical and cognitive, emotional, and social development of young children. So these technologies here in front of you aim at learning, engaging, or making learning more engaging, more interactive. So you can see at the bottom of there the sensory resources, and accessible while fostering essential skills. Okay, we've also got early ICT skills and software on the bottom right there, like Lumio, Clicker, and Dynamo Math. So Clicker encourages those early literacy skills, encourages and helps those young individuals to learn how to read and write. Got Dynamo Maths, which supports those learners with dyscalculia. And then Lumio, which is a gamified interactive software that incorporates fun and basically rewards the children to keep them motivated. Then I already said the sensory resources, and I unfortunately don't actually have a picture here, but we also have STEM toys, so for introducing coding, robotics, and scientific exploration. So at the bottom left there, the sensory resources or the sensory solutions brings in combining touch, sound, visual to help those children with autism and sensory processing issues. Okay, and then just a little bit to end off about our services that we offer at Edit Microsystems. We do offer screening, so if you call in to Edit Microsystems and you have a patient that has some, you need to find a solution for them, you can call in and we can either come visit you if you are nearby to one of our offices, or you're more than welcome to come visit us at our offices. We'll then do screening for your patient or for your client, and then we'll come out with the best solution to help them with whatever needs that they need. Once you've purchased the device or purchased the software, we don't just leave you there to go and figure it all yourself. We do offer training. So it doesn't matter how much training you need, we will be there to offer ongoing training and support as well. So we've got our tech guys that are available at all times. So if something's not working or if you're having trouble installing a certain software, you can call us any of the time of the day and we'll be there to help you. Okay, and that's me. Thank you for your time. And yeah, like I said, I'm here at the end of the session to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Talia. It was a very informative presentation. It's amazing to see what is out there. Who would have thought that you could get GPS in your walking stick? But yeah, so now we have a good understanding of what Edit Micro is to offer. But of course, we want to give a perspective of all the different resources. And we do understand that a lot of these devices are quite costly for the average person. And often therapists on the ground have to improvise. So we wanted to also get the perspective of somebody in private practice. And then so I'd like to introduce you to Aeysha. Aeysha is a dedicated speech language therapist with a special interest in pediatrics and supporting children with special needs. She started out the experience at ERA School with me, and she's passionate about helping young individuals develop effective communication skills and to reach their full potential. Specializing in tailored interventions for children with speech, language, and communication challenges, the established speech and language therapy practice is committed to creating a compassionate and supportive environment where every child can thrive. So whether the child is on the autism spectrum or they have developmental delays, or they're just facing communication barriers, speech and language therapy by Aeysha Ebrahim brings a personalized approach to therapy that focuses on each child's unique strengths and needs through evidence-based techniques and a collaborative approach with families and multidisciplinary teams, providing the tools needed for success at home, school, and beyond. She is joined by Samantha Martin, who is a locum in her practice and a passionate pediatric speech and language therapist dedicated to helping children overcome speech, language, and communication difficulties. She is currently completing a master's degree researching the integration of digital technologies to enhance speech therapy intervention. Samantha has been practicing with Aeysha for the past year and a half, where she combines her expertise with a caring, personalized approach to support each child's unique communication journey. So on that note, Aeysha, I hand over to you.
Okay, so we're just sharing the screen now. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to our segment of the presentation. We are going to be looking at how we sort of try to build bridges to allow our parents of the children that we see to provide or gain access to AAC systems. My name is Aeysha, and I'm joined by Samantha. We hope that you enjoy this presentation and that you find it informative and that there are things that you can take home to help you in your practice as well.
So by now, I'm sure we all know what AAC is and what it stands for. But just to break it down, AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, and it refers to methods, systems, and tools that help individuals with speech and language difficulties communicate. AAC can range from no-tech solutions like gestures and communication boards to high-tech devices and apps, just like the ones we saw on the Aided Micro presentation. But why is it important? So communication is a fundamental human right, and for individuals with communication challenges, AAC provides a bridge to interaction, education, and inclusion. However, many families face barriers to accessing AAC, such as cost, access to technology, or simply lack of information. So that brings us to the focus of our PowerPoint presentation. We'll be looking at accessible AAC options and strategies to overcome these barriers.
So the challenge that we face is the challenge of accessibility. Financial constraints obviously limit the access to AAC tools. Many of the devices or the software that is available is quite expensive. And in our experience, even though we are in the private sector and parents are generally private paying clients, we still find that they still struggle to afford high-tech devices. The impact of this is obviously that there's limited communication opportunities for their children to access, which then hinders their development overall, including social development, educational development, and personal development as well.
Okay, so let's look at the AAC options. Remember, we're highlighting accessible options. So starting with no-tech solutions. So these are basics, so like we mentioned, signs and gestures. Makaton is an AAC option that combines speech and signs and symbols to support communication. It's versatile and it can be used across various settings, but it does require training and understanding from communication partners. Then we have things like communication boards and books. These feature symbols or words that individuals can point to for communication. They're affordable and easy to customize, though they might slow down interactions in fast-paced environments. And then super basic is whiteboards or notebooks. These allow individuals to draw or write messages. While it is certainly cost-effective and portable, their usability depends on the person's literacy and emotive skills, and obviously their vision, etc. So those are just a few options of no-tech solutions.
And then looking at our low-tech solutions, these require minimal technology, but offer enhanced functionality. So we have, for example, your core vocabulary boards, your sentence strips, and your adapted paper-based systems. With core vocabulary boards, the focus is on frequently used words. It is simple to create, it is affordable, and it's highly effective for daily communication. Sentence strips then helps children form simple sentences by arranging pre-written words or symbols. It integrates tools naturally, and it avoids the exclusive use in emergency settings. And then with the adapted paper-based system, so these are visual schedules or choice boards, and choice boards rather, and these can be customized using basic materials. These are especially effective for structured communication, but still require consistent use and adaptation for it to be used successfully.
And then finally, we're going to look at the high-tech options that are accessible. So our focus is mainly going to be looking at apps. And the reasons we're looking at software or apps specifically is because they offer cost-effective alternatives to traditional speech-generating devices, which we all know can be quite costly and also limited in functionality. We also know that whilst many families may not own tablets, many do own smartphones, which can be leveraged to assist with AAC in the form of apps. In fact, based on the the latest census, 92% of households in the country own at least one smartphone. So that's food for thought, and why we can leverage on apps. And we also, I mean, just from experience as a speech therapist, we all know when dealing with kiddies, even if they have quite severe communication challenges, if you present them with a tablet, it's super easy for them to just switch it on, navigate to YouTube and play Mrs. Rachel. So that's why we're looking at apps. So some effective and affordable apps include Proloquo to Go, Touch Chat. These are apps that aren't necessarily free. They do have a subscription, but it's still quite affordable. But then we're also looking at the lower, the free or lower cost options. These are apps that we actually use a lot during speech therapy. It's apps like Weave Chat, Jab Talk, Let Me Talk, Avaz Free Speech, and Cough Drop. So these apps bring advanced AAC functionality at a fraction of the cost of dedicated devices.
Okay, so best practice for AAC is obviously to provide a child or any person with communication difficulties or limitations in communication with robust AAC systems. So these are systems that has large selection of words, including core words, but also different types of words and different parts of speech. They facilitate for various communication functions. So the person using it is able to ask questions, able to share opinions. It also provides grammar support. There is also an option for there to be pre-programmed messages. So messages can be previously recorded and then played back on the devices. There's also access to keyboards where the person accessing the device is then able to type. There's also flexibility where there's easy access to all of the different boards available. And it encourages a more naturalistic modeling of language. So many of the apps that we have mentioned previously does not necessarily allow us to facilitate robust forms of communication. So therefore, in our practice, we then have to look at using the AAC software or the high-tech AAC software to then create low-tech systems, as can be seen in the picture on your screen. And here we've used the TD Snap software to create a robust low-tech AAC system for a child to make use of. Okay.
And then moving on to limitations of affordable and free apps.
Okay, so what we found within our practice is that these apps have limited symbols available, and the vocabulary that is available that the child can make use of to communicate is not as extensive. The vocabulary may not align with the South African context, and we'll show you some more specific examples later. The symbols or the pictures may be too abstract for the children to interpret. The navigation between different boards may not be as easy. So the app might be free, but then in order to gain access to more vocabulary or more symbols, the option to upgrade might also be costly, or there might be a monthly cost attached. Cultural and language limitations. Then another limitation could also be technology access. So perhaps there's no access to a tablet, and then the children end up accessing the apps on their parents' cell phones, which is obviously not ideal. I mean, it is something, but what happens when the parents go to work and the cell phones go with them, then the child is left without access to the communication system. And then another limitation is limited offline usability, where there always needs to be connection for the child to be able to access the apps. And then we've just noted some additional areas for consideration. So with any device, or with any system, there needs to be parent buy-in. So the parent needs to identify the importance of the system being implemented, and to make sure that it is being used. It's a family-centered approach, so the entire family needs to be educated around the use of the system. Teachers as well as other professionals need to be involved so that we can generalize the skills that the child is learning in order to communicate. There needs to be motivation, not only from the child, but also from all role players in the child's life. Also, just something from our experience. So when we do create the low-tech systems, there's very often damage to these systems. And I think it's an area that parents need to also be cautioned or educated on, just to, keep it safe, because otherwise it means that the therapist needs to recreate these systems all the time. And then also we found that sometimes they lose it. So also just something nice that you'd like to mention in your education with the parents to keep it safe. And then also just that it's the responsibility of everyone involved to generalize the use to all environments. And so as you are probably thinking, for children with limited physical ability, there is not as many freely accessible apps to make use of. For example, children that cannot use their hands to make a selection. And here we will then just consider low-tech systems and adapting the low-tech systems if they perhaps need to use eye gaze in order to communicate. Okay, so these are just examples from the apps that we are using. The one that you can see right now is WeChat. Sometimes they do make exceptions that we can use within our context. Like, for example, if you look on the screen, there's a coach, but there's also a bus. So the bus would be more appropriate for our context. And then there's a lorry, but there's also a truck. So obviously our children from South African context would use the truck. And then over here, also WeChat, you can see that there's a symbol for a shirt, but they actually they would refer to it as button down. Joggers, which we will refer to as pants or track pants or tracksuit, and then there's sweater, which we would refer to as jersey. So it's the responsibility of therapists to then adapt it to make it as appropriate as possible for the child. And this is twinkle symbols. So this was just an example to show that how if the word might be appropriate for our context, but the symbol or the picture might not be. So if you look at taxi, for example, that is a word that our kids would know. However, the picture does not look anything like our taxis here in South Africa. And then another example over here would be crisps, which we refer to as chips.
So whilst we're on the topic of AAC and accessible AAC and successful AAC, I thought it would be remiss to not talk about the research I'm currently conducting as a master's student, and that is all about empowering parents. So how can we integrate parent coaching and AAC accessibility through digital technology? In today's world, we are experiencing a significant boom in technology, especially with the use of smartphones. As I mentioned, majority of South Africans use smartphones. So especially it has become an integral part of our everyday lives. So it provides accessible platforms for education, support, and training. So by capitalizing on this technological shift, we can develop apps that focus on sustainable approaches, like teaching parents how to use AAC tools meaningfully and naturally in everyday routines. So my thesis explores how parent coaching apps can significantly benefit children with communication difficulties by fostering parental empowerment and responsive interactions. Parent involvement is pivotal for AAC success. Yet many families struggle with understanding how to use these tools effectively in daily life. So this just highlights the need for more innovative apps designed to empower parents as active participants in their child's communication journey. There are few parent coaching apps available globally. And furthermore, the local usage and adoption of these apps have been underwhelming. So this just means that there's an untapped market for this, as long as we fully understand what parents need. So this is just food for thought Obviously, the research is still ongoing, but I've left my email in case anybody, once it's all finished, if anybody would like to follow up on this research. But this is just food for thought on how we can empower parents through the use of digital technology.
Okay, so the benefits of accessible AAC options and why we advocate for AAC to be as accessible as possible. It obviously promotes inclusivity. It enables children to participate at home, at school, in social and recreational activities. It reduces the financial constraints upon parents. It encourages parental empowerment, so building parent confidence in supporting communication and language development. It enhances vocabulary, sentence building, and social interactions. So we've just put it in visual form for you. So financial constraints leads to AAC access limitation, which then leads to overall hindered development. But best access to AAC allows for overall better development. So the better development, not only with communication, socio-emotional development, personal development, and education.
And so in conclusion, accessible AAC options help bridge communication gaps for children with communication difficulties. As professionals, we must advocate for affordable solutions, educate families, and also empower parents to integrate AAC into everyday life. Together, we can create a world where every child has a voice.
Okay, thank you so much for your time and for your attention. We would like to hear your thoughts, and we welcome any questions about AAC accessibility and implementation at the end of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aeysha and Samantha, showing us the amazing work that you're doing in the community. Samantha, your master's sounds extremely interesting. We may have to get you back and talk about your results when you're done. So good luck with that. I would also like to remind everybody that the webinars are recorded and then uploaded onto the website. So you can always go back to check on the apps that they've mentioned in the talk, as well as contact details in case you wanted to do that. So we will now hear a presentation from a therapist that is in Zambia, where obviously the resources are quite limited, and the challenges that even if there is a smartphone, some of the time or most of the time, the internet access and the Wi-Fi are very sketchy. So Pezo Samuhala Mumbibi, she works at the University Teaching Hospital for Children in Lusaka, Zambia, as a speech and language assistant. She has been working with children with special needs for the past 8 years and has attended various conferences outside, for example, on autism and training on cleft palates. And she absolutely loves working with kids with developmental delays. So without further ado, Pezo, you can share your screen. Pezo, are you still with us? Maybe while we're waiting for Pezo to come back, I'm not sure if she's having a bit of problems with her Wi-Fi. There is a question in the chat here that children are increasingly exposed to tech in day-to-day. Would children with expressive communication disorders then respond better to tech-intensive therapy as opposed to low-tech activities? I'm not sure if you want to take that one, Aeysha.
Hi, Roshaan. We're just trying to find the question. We
Okay,
can't.
it's in the chat. Yeah, it's in the chat box. So I can just read it again to you if you
Yes.
didn't find it. Yeah. So children are increasingly exposed to tech in day-to-day. Would children with expressive communication disorders respond better to tech-intensive therapy as opposed to low-tech activities?
So what we find in our experience is the more motivated the child is, the better outcomes there are overall. So if the child is more motivated and more inclined to tech use, then we generally will see better outcomes
Okay,
as opposed to
cool.
them using the low-tech systems.
Talia, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't. I do agree with what was said. So,
Okay, perfect.
um,
I see Pezo is back. Hello, Pezo. Are you able to share your screen with us?
Hello. Yeah, sorry, technology.
Yeah.
Okay. Where we? Just a minute. To Okay, we seem to be winning. I'll share very soon. Can we see? Are we able to
Yes, we
see?
can. You can go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Apologies for the delay. This some of the issues that we might be facing, but just like I've been introduced, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Pezo, and coming from UTH, which is one of the biggest hospitals in Lusaka, Zambia. It's a referral hospital, and we have various children that come through to the hospital with communication and swallowing needs. So the hospital itself has quite a dedicated team. We have a developmental intervention clinic and audiology clinic. So part of the team that we'll find in these clinics, we have an ENT doctor, pediatric neurologist, EEG technician, audiology nurses, occupational therapist, physical therapist, and a speech therapist. When in this clinic, as we see different children with communication challenges and nonverbal, as we're looking at alternative communication, we use picture boards in therapy. Because what happens when they're referred to the clinic, the pediatric neuro will see and then refer them to the audiology clinic. So before we start, we test their hearing levels to see at what level the child is able to hear. Because even if you're working with them in the area of either low tech or high technology, we just need to make sure that the child is able to see and they're able to hear before we can even proceed with everything. So these are some of the objects that we use. And we pick objects and different items, concrete objects and items that are found in the various communities where these children are coming from. So we use things like stones, we use sticks, bottle tops, bottles, anything that you'll find that is going to help and provide access to this child to be able to communicate their needs and wants. So we also have low-tech cost alternative where we promote inclusivity and demonstrate the power of simple and reading available resources to improve their communication. We can either use books or pictures. So as I mentioned earlier, the hospital that deals with children in this country is one of the largest hospital and a referral. So we have a spectrum of kids that we see. We have children with neurological conditions and developmental challenges. We've also seen cases where these children that have come into the hospital have significantly improved with all these devices that we use to help them communicate their needs and wants. And because of the dedicated team that we have on ground will lead to remarkable progress, because it's not just one person who just see this child, but it's a different disciplines that are involved. When a child needs to go and be placed in a special school, we have a form where the parents will get and they move to see different people that will have to test their hearing, they need to check their sight, they need to see a cognitive education psychologist just to see at what level these children are in terms of cognitive. And we've got some form of, we've made improvements as we have worked with these children, even just with a team that's been coming on board, because our goal is to identify a condition early and treat so that this child can be independent in future and able to thrive. We engage caregivers, and the reason why we engage caregivers is we feel caregivers are the best stakeholders. They're the ones who've grown up with these children and they have identified that there is a need. Though sometimes they won't just come in because they've identified, but maybe the child has got a high temperature or they're not feeling too well. And the time that they come to the hospital, the doctor will now say, and then they'll start asking questions, discover that there's some developmental delays. That's when they'll now open up and tell them that, oh, actually, we noticed this. Then they'll refer for either a speech therapist to see occupational or physical therapist. So always work together with them, because they already know how this child is communicating. What devices are they using? How have they been communicating with this child? Because they're only coming to the hospital to see the speech therapist or occupational therapist just once a week, but the rest of the week or the rest of the days, they're spending it with their parents. So this way it's important why we feel we need to engage these caregivers and parents. We also reach out to schools just to find out what has been put in place and how best can we work together. Because at the end of the day, we all have one goal, is to see this child be independent and able to communicate. Because communication is not just about this child using words, but they can use any other means and reduce the hyperactivity, especially if the child is on the spectrum and have other behavioral challenges. We always encourage consistency and with the parents so that we all see progress, both the parents and the teachers as well, so that we can try and minimize regression and foster consistent progress. Then we empower families as well, because as they come in to attend the sessions, they sit in the sessions like for 5 times or 3, depending on the availability. They sit in so that they're able to observe what we are using and how best they can go and continue working with these children at home. As we work on all these things that we've just talked about, I think having such platforms as this one, and thank you, Roshaan, for bringing us together. I think it's a platform that is going to help us prioritize on what are some of the communication tools that we can use, how accessible it is to technology and training and support, because I'm working in a hospital. So the hospital admin won't really come on board and say, oh, let's get a gadget for the speech therapists so that they can use to communicate when there's a child in the hospital or on the ward who's having seizures. So the prioritize is they'll get medication so that they control the seizures that this child is having or other medical condition the child is presenting before they can come in and start buying all these gadgets for AAC. So I think working together with other stakeholders can really help us invest in laptops, tablets, and other softwares with regards to alternative and augmentative communication devices and apps, just like the team has just explained. It would be good for us if we can have someone that will come in and help invest in such technology. Also, resource of staff. It's always important to build capacity and go, yes, we can have these devices, but if I'm not trained on how to work with this device, if it fits the whole purpose, I'll just keep it on my desk or on the table or whichever it is where I'm going to keep this device, and it'll just accumulate dust. When in actual sense, I can use it and help a child outside of town where they're coming from, because we don't just see kids from within, but also have kids from out of town where we provide home programs as well. So if a child is coming from outskirts where they don't have access to the phone or TV or even a laptop, how am I going to reach out? Because the only time that I'm going to see this child coming into the hospital is when the doctor has given them 6 months review or 3 months review. So in this period of them waiting to see a doctor, what's been happening to them? Who's following up with the level of communication? Where are they? Are the parents really working with this child? What challenges are they facing? So we can have access and invest in such devices. It's going to be easier for us and make sure that we see this child improve in their communication and level of independence. Thank you so much for listening and your kind attention. In Zambia, we've got different languages, more than 73 languages. If you're in Lusaka, you hear someone say Zikomo or Eastern Province. If you're in Western Province, they'll say Litumezi. In Southern Province, where our president is even coming from, you hear them say Twalumba, or Copperbelt Province, Twatasha. Northwestern Province, Twasakwela Mwane. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pezo, for showing us the amazing work that you're doing there with the scarcity of resources that are available. We wish you the best of luck with everything. Please spread the word about SA Child wherever you go in Zambia. I think what has been coming through from both presentations of practicing therapists is that the parents and the caregivers are actually a crucial part of the team, and educating them is as vital as the work that you are doing with the children. So we've come to the end of our webinar. Before we go on the questions, if you don't mind, I would just like to share with you and inform you about our webinar for next week that we are having in collaboration with the International Alliance of Academies of Children with Disabilities. So I'm just going to leave that up there for you while we talk about the questions. There's one question that's also in the chat box before we go to the ones that were, sorry. Okay. Sorry, let me just find this. The questions that we had from the participants that when they registered there was one is, technology might be available, but the cost of the bandwidth on the networks can be restrictive. What are possible solutions? And I think that Aeysha already went through a lot of the things that were available. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
No, I think we covered that in depth.
Okay, and then, are there any special tips on delayed speech of the Down syndrome children?
So with our Down syndrome kiddies, we generally tend to use Makaton as a supplement to verbal communication. This is a system that uses hand signs, but also speech at the same time.
Okay, cool. Then the other question also I think you may have answered. In a multilingual setting, how is it best approach to speech therapy or to AAC?
In a multilingual setting,
what is the best approach to AAC?
Okay, so obviously we need to adapt the device or the system to be as appropriate for the child's environment as possible. So if, for example, the words don't exist, then we need to work with the families to make it exist. So we have to basically, edit the pictures with different words and put it in their systems. Sometimes the symbols also might not be appropriate, and then we have to edit or change those as well. So also what we find is if the words and the symbols don't exist, some of the apps have a keyboard option where you can actually then type the word and then, it will have voice output, but it might not necessarily have a symbol. And for multilingual children, obviously working very closely with the family to then, include all different languages.
Okay, perfect. I think this one, the last question is probably more for Talia, but it says, to what extent does any of the AAC devices make provision for cultural and language specific customizing?
Okay, so at Edit Micro, we do have a text-to-speech system called Q-Fluency Essay Voices. And basically what the system does is it creates human-like voices from written text for the South African market. So these synthetic voices can basically then read and say anything in the South African languages. And it is available on a wide range of devices and platforms. So basically, yeah, the technology generates the synthetic speech that is close to human speech as possible. So it's including even the South African accent and any of the 12 South African languages.
Oh,
11,
okay, that's
12.
awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Aeysha, does that answer your question? Yeah, okay, perfect. Is there anybody else would like to unmute and ask something, or maybe just type it into the chat box very quickly? We are a little bit over time already, but I think we can hold on for 1 or 2 more questions if there are. Awesome. Then I think that's it for us. Thank you so much to everybody for joining today. I look forward to seeing you all next week for our session on nurturing the. Yeah, I see Talia's put a website onto the chat group there for everybody. But also remember that it will be recorded and it will be available on the website within a couple of days. So as I was saying, I look forward to seeing you next week for the webinar on nurturing the family unit. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.